Hello guys, this is Mr. Leshin. Welcome back to class. This is SS1 mathematics class, and this is our week 11th topic. Our week 11th topic here we'll be looking at mid deviation, variance, and standard deviation, all in the scheme of work. Before we continue, I would like to share what we discussed in the last class. We discussed statistical graph. We talk about the bar chart. We all know what bar chart is, how you can draw your bar chart. That is, it's a form of a bar on a graph and equal spacing between the bars. The height of the bars depends on the frequency of the item. Talk about histogram, bars, but the only difference between the histogram and bar chart is that the histogram are always together. There is no spacing between them. And we talk about pie chart. Pie chart is a circular illustration of items in which all items are caused in a circular form represented in degrees. And you know the total angle in a degree in a circle is 360, whereby all the items are converted to degrees, in which total items will now be equal to 360 degrees. We discussed also about OGIF, which is the cumulative frequency curve derived from the cumulative frequency table. This is what we discussed in the previous class. But this week we'll be looking at the mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation under statistics, and this is the last part of it, statistics. But before we go into that, I would like to share with you how to calculate your quartile, your percentile, and your percentile and your decile, your quartile, percentile, and decile, which I mentioned in the previous class. I will take you through them. So I would like to share the notes with you, so we'll continue from there. So this is mathematics week 11, mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. Our learning objective, what we are set to achieve in this week's topic is at the end of the lesson, students should be able to calculate the quartile, which I mentioned earlier, percentile and decile of group data. All of group data. We all know by now. You know what is the difference between group data and on group data, and how you can represent prepare a frequency table for group data and on group data. Quartile from the name quartile, it's like divided into 4 places. Percentile from the word percentage, that's over 100, and decile from the word 10, decade. So number 2, calculate the mean deviation for group data. I'll give you the formula for mean deviation, and from there you know how to prepare your table. Calculate the variance for group data and calculate the standard deviation for group data. So this is what we're looking at in this week's topic, and at the end of class, I believe we were able to achieve everything that has been set aside in this learning objective. First, let's look at the quartile. Let's read the notes. The median at earlier we discussed, you all know what median is. Median is the numbers that fall in between. On group data, the numbers that fall in between. If it's an odd number, the mid number. If it's an even set of numbers, then we have 2 numbers. You add them together and divide by 2. Under group data, there's a formula for finding median. In this case, we are looking at quartile. So the median had earlier been discussed as a value which divides the whole area into 2 equal parts. The value that divides the whole area, that is the whole item, into equal parts. That is the middle number. So while quartiles, on the other hand, are the value which divide the distribution into 4 equal parts. Into 4 equal parts, median is just 2, while quartile is 4. We have the first quartile represented as Q1, second quartile represented as Q2, third quarter as Q3, and fourth quarter and Q4. But in this case of quarter, we'll only be looking at Q1 and Q2, because Q2 represents the median. That is, it divides the whole item into 2, while Q4 is the whole item. So when we're talking about quarter, we'll be looking at basically Q1 and Q3, where Q1 is first quarter and Q3 is third quarter. The next slide. So let's look at the first quarter and the third quarter, how to calculate it. So therefore, our major concern shall be on Q1 and Q3, as said earlier, that is the first and third quarter respectively. The formula for calculating the quartile is similar to that of the median. This is, please take note of this formula very, very well. When you know the formula, you'll be able to solve through and be able to prepare your frequency table. First quarter Q1 is given as L1 plus N over 4 minus FB over F times C. L1 plus N over 4 minus FB over F times C, where L1 is the lower class boundary of the first quartile. How do you know the first quartile? How do you find the first quartile in any given item? The first quartile is calculated as N over 4. That is 1 times N over 4, where N here is the number of the total frequency given in the data. where n is what total frequency given the data. So you all know what our lower class boundary is. If you are given a class interval or a class limit that is, let's say, for example, 10 to 15. These are the class limits. That is from 10 to 15. Lower class boundary can be derived, and upper class boundary can be derived from the what? From the class limit. That is, you subtract 0.5 from the what? Lower class limit and add 0.5 to the what? Upper class limit to get your what? Lower class boundary and upper class boundary what? Respectively. So when you've gotten your what? Your first quartile interval, the interval where you have the first quartile, then the lower class boundary of that what first quartile will give you what L1. N is the what total frequency I said earlier. While FB is the what cumulative frequency before the first quartile. The interval at which you find your first quartile, the cumulative frequency before, you all know how to calculate the what, prepare the what cumulative frequency table. That is the first frequency, cumulative frequency is always equal to the what, the frequency of the what data. The next frequency, cumulative frequency, is the sum of the what, the first cumulative frequency plus the next frequency to give you what, the next cumulative frequency. That's how you calculate the what, cumulative frequency. Now, FB is the cumulative frequency before the first quartile, while C is the class size. That is the difference between the what, the class lower class boundary and the what, upper class. We call it the class width or the class size. Difference, let's say from 10 to 15. Then you look at the class size of what, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. To be what, 6. That is from 10. From item from what, 10 to 15. We have a class size of what, 6. While F from the formula is the what, frequency of the first quartile. The interval whereby you find your what, your quartile, the frequency of the quartile, the real frequency is what represented as what, F. So this is the formula for finding what, the Q1, that is the first quartile, that is Q1 equals to what, L1 plus N over 4 minus FB over F times C. While the third quartile can be calculated as what, Q3 equals to what, L1 plus 3N over 4, that is the third quartile. 3N over 4, that's the only difference between the what, Q1 and Q3. And if you have all the parameters as applicable as that of the what, Q1, that is L1 is the lower class boundary of the third quartile. The third quartile, the interval where you find the what, third quartile, L1, the lower class boundary there. Now, how do you find the third quartile? Third quartile is what, 3N divided by what, 4. 3N divided by 4. 3N divided by 4 is your what, as you find your what, interval of your what, your third quartile, where F is the frequency of the third quartile and C is the class size of the what, third quartile. FB, as said earlier, is what, cumulative frequency before the third quartile. Before the third quartile. So that's how you find your what, Q1 and Q3. Next thing under quartile, we look at the what, interquartile and semi-interquartile. These are ways by which question comes out under quartile. I ask to find the what, interquartile, and I have to find what, the semi-quartile. There's no difference. It's more or less like we call them range. You know what is range? Range is what the difference between the highest and the lowest item or the lowest frequency. While interquartile range is the what, difference between the what, Q3, the third quartile, and the what, Q1, which is the what, first quartile. That is the upper quartile and the lower quartile. That is Q3 minus what, Q1. After you find, you've gotten through your formula, you find your Q3 is what, L1 plus 3N over 4 minus FB over F times C, and Q1 is what, L1 plus N over 4 minus FB over F times what, C. Then you insert them into what, into this formula to get your what, interquartile range, while the semi-interquartile range is what, interquartile range divided by what, 2, that is half of what, interquartile range, giving that what, Q3 minus Q1 over 2. I believe you understand what quartile means right now. Let's take this example to what, look into what we discussed earlier. Look at this question. It says, the table below shows the distribution obtained by applicants in a certain examination. The table below shows the distribution of scores obtained by applicants in a certain examination. Look at it now. These are the scores that the people that score from 20 to 29 are what, are 10. People that score from 30 to 39 are 7. People that score from 40 to 49, 3. People that score from 50 to 59, 12. People that score from 60 to 69, down to people that score from 80 to 89 is what, 3, according to the what table given. It says the table shows the distribution of what score obtained by what applicants in a certain what examination. Now you know your frequency and you know your what class limit. Find the what estimate from the scores the range, which is what the highest to the lowest score, interquartile range, and the what semi-interquartile range. You already know that before you can calculate the interquartile range, you need to what find your what upper quartile, which is Q3, and your what lower quartile. So how do you calculate what the range? First of all, from the formula, you know we have what FB, which is cumulative frequency. So your table must contain what cumulative frequency. We have L1, which is lower class boundary. So your table must contain what class are boundaries. So that is what you have to take note when you are preparing what the frequency table, which is the first thing you do in solving what quartile. Prepare your what frequency cumulative table. So this is it. This is what our class limit, which is the score 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49. So the next column goes what for what the class boundary, which I told you is what the subtraction of the what lower class limit by 0.5 and the upper class limit by what 0.5. That is 20 minus 0.5 will give you 19.5, which is lower class boundary L1, and 29 plus 0.5 will give what 29.5, which is what upper class boundary. From the table below, the frequency is what 10, while the first cumulative frequency will also be what 10. The first cumulative frequency is always equals to what the next cumulative the first what frequency. So the next class limit is what 30 to 39. The lower class boundary is 29.5 to 39.5, and that goes like that. You can see the next cumulative frequency is what 10 plus 7 to give you 17, 17 plus 3 to give you 20, 20 plus 12 to give you 32, 32 plus 6 to give you 38, 38 plus 9 to give you 47, 47 plus 3 to give you what 50. The last cumulative frequency is always equal to the what the total frequency of the what data given. So we've gotten our data like this now. To calculate the range, it will be very, very easy. Find the difference between your highest score, which is what 89, minus what 20, you get your what range from what from there. And if you want to calculate your what Q3, you already have what. Then you find your what quartile interval, the third quartile interval for the upper quartile, and for the lower quartile, which is Q1, you find your what the quartile here with the formula what n over 4 for Q1 and 3 n over 4 for what Q3, where n is the what total frequency, and total frequency given here is what 50. So you can calculate from there. So it goes thus. So this is the solution. Now, first, we calculate the question one says calculate the what the range. The range equals to what the highest score there is what 89, as you can see, and what the lowest score is what 20. So you say 89 minus what 20 is equals to what 69. That's the range. But number 2 says interquartile range, which is given as what Q3 equals to what L1 plus 3n over 4 minus FB over F times what C. Excuse me, where I told you how to find your quartile interval is what use the formula what this is the quartile, how to find your what third quartile, which is what 3n over 4, where n is the what total frequency. And in the question we already know that total frequency equals to what 50. That will now give you Q3 equals to what 3 over 4 times what 50. 3 over 4 times 50. If you use your calculator to cross check, you have what 37.5. So where do we have 37.5 in our cumulative frequency? You can see from here 10 plus 7, this is 17, this is 20. So 37.5 is 32. 37.5 will lie between what this range, that is from 33, is that from here is what ends 22. So from this interval is that from what 33 to what 38. So the 37.5 lies in this what interval, which is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you calculate your what that's how you get your what interval what range. So that's why it says what 37.5 lies in the what fifth interval. So the fifth interval is our what third quartile interval. Is our what third quartile interval. So from there you can able to what find your L1, the lower class boundary of the what interval of the what third quartile interval, which now what 50 interval. The lowest class boundary is what 59.5 L1. That is that 59.5. FB is the what cumulative frequency before the cumulative frequency. The cumulative frequency before the third quartile. The cumulative frequency before the what third quartile, whereby we have the third quartile to be what the fifth one, which is what 38 is the cumulative frequency. So the FB is what 32. The cumulative frequency before the what the third quartile, which is what 32. Frequency of the F is what frequency of the cumulative of the third quartile. Frequency of the third quartile, which is what 6, and that gives us what 6 there. And see how we're constructing it. The class size is what 69.5 minus what 59.5, which is what give you what 10 automatically, or 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. That is what the class size is what 10. Difference between the what interval. That's how you calculate that. You have 10, and total frequency n is what 50. Insert all these parameters into the what formula. You get what 60.42. 60.42. Please take note. You have to what get your quartile what interval first before you proceed to other what before you proceed to what calculation. That's when you get your interval quartile. That's when you now find the what all the parameters you need. But first you prepare your table, find your what quartile interval, then what insert the table. That's Q3. So to find Q1, I told you Q1 is what n over 4. So first quartile is given as what 1 over 4 times what 50, that is 50 over 4, which is what 12.5. Total frequency is what 50. So we have 12.5. Where does 12.5 lies? So look at the first one, 10. So 12.5 lies between what 11 to 17, which is in what second interval, So insert your parameters. L1 is what from the second interval is what 29.5 lower class boundary. F small letter F is what 7, which is what frequency of the what interval of the first quarter interval. FB is what 10, which is what cumulative frequency before the what interval, first quarter interval. So you got all your parameters from there like that. That is F equals to 7, C equals to 10, and N equals to 50. Insert your parameters into this formula. You have what 33.1. 33.1. So it will be easy now to calculate your what interquartile range, which is given as what Q3 minus what Q1. Where Q3 is given as what calculated as what 60.42, and Q1 is given as what 33.1. Subtract it, you have what 27.32. While the semi-interquartile range, which is the third question, says it is what Q3 minus Q1 over Q2. That is the half of interquartile range, which is now what 27.32 divided by 2. That is all about quartile and interquartile and semi-quartile. These are you calculate what quartile and interquartile and semi-interquartile. So we'll go to the next thing, which is what percentile and decile. Percentile and decile are related because it's almost the same formula as that of the quartile. But here, percentile is what over 100, while decile is what over 10. Look at the formula. Percentile is the average that divides the whole distribution into what 100. Quartile divides the whole distribution into what 4 parts. Percentile divided into what 100, while decile from the what decade divided into what 10 equal parts. So the same formula, that is PI is what the percentile of the height interval. That it could be what 15 percentile, it could be what 30 percentile, it could height interval. So you can be asked to calculate the percentile of any of the interval between the range of what 100. So you have what PI equals to what L1, which is what lower class boundary of the percentile interval. Is the way you calculate the percentile of the. If you are given the 15 percentile, it will what 15 times what n over what 100. 15 times what n over what 100. We are calculating the 20th percentile, to what 20 times n over what 100. This is the formula for you to calculate what the percentile given what that is given minus FB. FB is the cumulative frequency of the what before the what percentile interval. F is the frequency of the what percentile interval. YC is the what class size of the what height percentile. Same procedures with that of what quartile. Only the difference is what this one is divided by what 100. Same as what, look at decile. More or less the same. That is L1 NI divided by what 10. This is the distribution divided by the root what 10. The same parameters. FB is what cumulative frequency before the what decile interval. Before the what decile interval. N is the total frequency. C is the class size, and F is what frequency of the what height decile. Take this example. The table shows the mark distribution of 50 students. That is, the total frequency is what 50. The table shows the mark distribution of 50 students. Look at the table here. 16 to 20 equals to 2. 21 to 25 equals to 4. 26 to 30 equals to 15. 31 to 35 equals to 9. 36 to 47 and 41 to 45 equals to 13. So question says, for the distribution, calculate the following: the 15th percentile and the 9th decile. The 15th percentile and the 9th decile. This is how you now calculate it. So what's the formula for percentile? I recall is what PI equals what LI plus NI over what 100 minus FB over F times what C. For decile is what DI equals what LI plus what NI over 10 minus FB over F times what C, where C is the class size. First thing you are required of what lower class frequency. So you're preparing your frequency table, you must have your what lower class boundary there. You need your what cumulative frequency. So it's as prepared said earlier in the what quartile is the same as what percentile. So let's prepare the table for this. So this is the solution. These are the what class mark given: 16 to 20, 21 to 25, 26 to 30, 31 to 35, 36 to 40, 41 to 45. Lower class boundary and upper class boundary. Subtract the what lower class limit by 0.5 and add the upper class limit by what 0.5 to get your what lower class boundary and upper class boundary respectively. Use your frequency. First cumulative frequency is the same as the first frequency, and add 2 plus 4 to give you 6, 6 plus 3, 15 to 21, 21 plus 9 to give you 30, 30 plus 7, down to 50, which is what total frequency. I told you the last cumulative frequency must be equal to the what total frequency. Now, 15 percentile from the question. So you say 15 over 100 times 50. 15 over 100 times 50 will give you what? 7.5. So 7.5 lies where? 2, 6, from in the third interval. That is, here starts from what? 7 to 21. So 7.5 lies in the what? Third interval. That is where you get your what? L1, which is what? 25.5. The end interval is what? 7.5. That is there. Minus FB, which is what? The cumulative frequency before the what? Percentile cumulative frequency, which is what? 6. F is the frequency of the percentile frequency, percentile interval, which is what? 15. And C is what? Class limit, that is from 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That is what the class size is what? 5. If you insert all the parameters, you get what? Equals to what? 30. Insert all the parameters equals to what? You can see it's as simple as what? That. Now the second question says, find the what? Ninth decile. Find the what? Ninth decile. This is the question. So if we get ninth decile, that is the formula for decile is what? L1 equals to L1 plus what? N or I over what? 10. This one is over 10 minus what? FB over F times what? C. Same what parameters. The parameter means the same thing. That is FB cumulative frequency before the what? Decile interval. So how do you get the ninth decile interval? That is 9 over 10 times what? 50, which is the total frequency. That is Ni over what? Ni over what? 10. 10 is what? For decile. 9 over 10 times 50 will give you 45. So how do we find the what? 45. Where does 45? Where does the ninth decile interval in the what? In the frequency distribution table? You say 45. Where do you find 45? 2, 6, 21, 30, 37. So 37. This one starts from 38 to what? 50. That is 45 lie in the what? Sixth interval. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're able to get your what? Your L1, which is on the sixth interval, is the what class boundary of the what? Decile, ninth decile interval, which is what? 40.5. The ninth decile is what? 45 from this calculation here, minus 37, which is the cumulative frequency before the what? Decile interval, which is 37, and the frequency of the decile interval, which is 13, and the class size, which is what? 5, which will give you what? 43.6. I would like you to construct all these calculations once again, all by yourself. Construct all these calculations again. So we'll go to our topic proper, which is what? The mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. They are very, very simple. That is, the mean deviation is given as what? Mean deviation is what? Summation of the what? The modulus. This sign, we call them modulus. This sign slash you see in taking this, we call them what? Modulus. Modulus means if it converts negative to positive. If the subtraction of the x minus where x dot here simplifies what? Arithmetic mean, and x is what? Class mark. You all know what class mark is. It means the median. Let's say you have a class limit of what? 10 to 15. The median, that is 10 plus 15 divided by 2, will give you what? X, which is what? The class mark. I call it the median. You should remember that. So modulus convert. If it's a negative answer here, it automatically gives you what? The positive answer. So summation of the product of f, the f modulus over the modulus of what? X minus the arithmetic mean multiplied by the frequency. The summation of everything divided by the what? The summation of the frequency will give you what? The mean deviation. That is summation f modulus x minus arithmetic mean over summation f, where you remember that arithmetic mean is what? Summation of the product of what? F and x over what? Summation f. Summation of what? Fx over what? Summation f. I will use this example to explain the mean deviation for you. Look at this example. It says, from the table below, calculate the mean deviation of the ages. Calculate the mean deviation of the ages. The ages are what? 2 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 13, 14 to 17, and 18 to 21. From the formula, you should know how to prepare your what? Table. See, we have what? First, you have to prepare the modulus for what? X minus what? Arithmetic mean. Then you have to find the product of it. Then you now sum everything together. This sigma is implying what? Summation. So, first, so the frequency of 2 to 5, that is the age range of what? 2 to 5 is what? 4 pupils, and 3 for 6 to 9, and everything like that. So, first thing you have to do is what? Prepare your what? Ages is what? So 2 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 13, 14 to 17, 18 to 21. The class mark is what? 2 plus 5 divided by 2 will give what? 3.5. X. I told you it's called the what? I also call the what? The median, which is required in this what? In this topic. 6 to 9, 6 plus 9 is going to be 15. 15 divided by 2 to 7.5. down to what 18 plus 9 to give what 39 divided by 2 give what 19.5. The frequency of 2 to 5 is what 4, 6 to 9 is what 3, 10 to 13 is what 6, 14 to 17 is what 2, 18 to 21 is what 5. Now first you find the mean, which is what summation fx over what summation f. Now you've gotten what x and you've gotten what f. So find the product of what fx. 3.5 times 4 will give you what 14. 7.5 times 3 will give you what 22.5. Down to 19.5 times 5 will give you what 97.5. Summation fx will give you what 93 point what summation fx will give you what 234. That is 14 plus 22.5 plus 69 plus 31 plus 97.5. Please cross check this thing with your calculator. Will give you what 27 to 34. While the summation f will give you what 4 plus 3 7, 7 plus 3 13, 13 plus 2 15, 15 plus 5 will give you what 20 to get your what mean. And this mean is what summation fx over summation f. Now you got your mean to be what 11.7. Now to find the modulus of what x minus mean, that you have to calculate your what mean first, which is 11.7. Then you now come 3.5 minus 11.7 will give you what minus 8.2. I told you because of the modulus it's converted to what positive. That is 3.5 minus 11.7 will give you what minus 8.2. So the modulus makes it what 8.2. Excuse me. Automatically 7.5 minus 11.7 will give you what minus 4.2, but because of the modulus it give you what 4.2. So this is how you do it. 11.5 minus 11.7 will give you what minus 0.2 in the modulus, but it's give you what modulus converted to what 0.2. So you have to find your mean before you can find the modulus of what this. After that, from the formula, you know the formula says summation f, the product of the frequency, and what the modulus of what x minus what mean. Then you have to multiply what 4 times 8.2 will give you 38, 32.8. 3 times 4.2 will give you 12.6. 6 times 0.2 will give us 1.2. 2 times 3.8 will give us down to 5 times 7.8 will give us 39. So the summation of this will give you what 93.2 divided by the summation of what the frequency, which is what 20 to give what 4.7. So the formula for mean deviation is what summation of the product of what f to the modulus of what x minus arithmetic mean over what the summation f will give you what the mean deviation. That's how to calculate what the mean deviation. Not much difference between the mean deviation and variance. Not much difference between the what mean deviation and variance. Let me take the notes for you. The variance is the arithmetic mean of the square or the deviation of the square of the deviation. That is the square of what the modulus of what x minus mean. You are in the case where you know here you don't from here. From mean division, you didn't square it, but here you have to square it before you multiply the frequency. That is the only difference between what the variance and the what mean deviation. Mean division. That's why we also call it what the mean squared division. That is, you square the deviation. That is the modulus of what the difference between the class mark minus the arithmetic mean before you multiply the frequency to it. And why standard deviation is what just the square root of the variance. When you find the variance, the square root of the variance is called what standard deviation. That is the square root of summation f modulus of the square of x minus arithmetic mean over summation f is the same thing as what the variance. You can only use this formula in case you've not found your what variance. But if you got to your variance, you just what square it. So let me use this example to what explain what variance and standard deviation. The data below is that of the shoe size of 100 men for a parade. We have 100 men for a parade. So the total frequency of what 100. That is 7 plus 15 plus 44 plus 15 plus 9 plus 12 will give you what 100. So that is the total frequency, and these are the ranges of the shoe size: 50 to 54, 55 to 59, 60 to 50. You all know what that means. So since the formula says summation f open bracket the product of f to the modulus of the square of the modulus square of what x minus arithmetic mean, then you have to what find your frequency, find your mean first, that is summation fx over summation f. From there, you find the modulus of x minus arithmetic mean. Then you now square it. That is the square of the modulus of x minus. Then you now find the product of the frequency to that to be able to apply the formula. And that's what we're going to do now. First, you prepare your table and find your arithmetic mean. So these are the shoe sizes, and these are the x. If x first, that is 50 plus 54 will give you 104 divided by 2 will give you 52. So this is how to calculate x down to 75 plus 79 to give you 144. Divided by 2 will give you 77. The frequency of each individual shoe size is 715 from the table given. So to calculate your mean, you have EFX over EF. Here we've gotten our product of 52 times 7 is 365. If you add it down, do the same for everything, you have what 6930, and the total frequency is what 100 from the question given. So your arithmetic mean that is x equals what 63.9. That is 6930 6930 divided by what 6930 divided by 100 will give you what 69.3. That's 69.3, not 63.9. 69.3. 69.3 will give you what the arithmetic mean. So it starts before you can get the modulus now, modulus of what x minus arithmetic mean, that is x is what 52 minus 69.3 will give you what minus 11.9. You have not that you put the highest one before. No, it has to be in that order. That is x minus arithmetic mean. It has to follow that order. So that's why you have the modulus. It changes it to what to 11 to positive automatically. 52 minus 69.3 will give you what 11.9, and the square of it will now give you what the square of it will give you what 140. The square of it will give you what 141.61. Please, I will give you a minute just for you to cross check. Just for you to cross check the calculation. Just a minute, please. I believe you understand what we are doing now. We have what the total frequency, product of frequency, and x to be what 6930 to get your arithmetic mean to be 69.3, and so x minus arithmetic mean you give you for the first interval is what 11.9. 57 minus 69.3 will give you what 6.9. It will be a negative, but modulus changes it to positive. 62 plus minus 69.3 will give what 1.9. 67 minus 69.3 will give you what minus 3.1, which automatically becomes what positive. 72 minus 69.3 gives you what that also, down to the last one, which will now give you what 77 minus 69.3 will give you 13.1. Now you now square the modulus. That is 11.9 square, 6.9 square give you 47.6. 1.9 square give you 3.61. 3.1 square give you 9.61. 8.1 square give you 65.61. 13.1 square give you what 171.61. Because of the formula says summation of the product of frequency to the what square of the modulus of what x minus us arithmetic mean. Then you now find the product of what f and what this, that is frequency times what modulus, and the square of the modulus of what x minus arithmetic mean, that is 7 times what 141.6 give what 991.27, down to the what last interval, that is 12 times what 171.61. Now the summation of everything, that is the formula says the summation of the product of f to the what square of the modulus of x minus what arithmetic mean. Add everything together, you have what 4639 divided by what total frequency, summation of all the frequency, which equals to what over 100, that is 4639 divided by 100 will give you what 46.39. That is how to calculate what the variance. Standard deviation equals to what square root of the variance. That's as simple as that. And the square root of what 46.39 will give what 6.8. That's how to calculate the mean deviation, variance, and the standard deviation. So we come to the end of the class. We come to the end of the class because we did our quartile, percentile, decile, and we talked about mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. So with this video and on the website, I've sent a note there, and attached to the note is an assignment. So watching this video and the explanation and the example and reading your notes appropriately, and also practicing other questions from your textbook, you'll be able to solve any question that comes your way under quartile, percentile, decile, mean deviation, standard deviation, and variance. Please attempt all the questions given to you, attached to your online notes online, and solve other questions from your textbook. Thank you, and have a nice day.